wanted to talk today about the creative process and how to operate it, or how to even begin it when you're kind of waking out of this person that you were born into, aka traveling the mental mazes. Um, I think there comes a really center point in someone's life where you literally just start talking to yourself in a way of like, okay, what am I doing? What do I want to do on this in this life? What can I do to get there? How can I? But it's that center point is very individual, um, and can only really make sense to that individual. It's like a key. It's You're literally making the key that is like unlocking yourself, as well as even figuring out that there's a lock in the first place. Kind of, I don't know. It's a weird thing. At first you kind of identify with um, movies or TV shows. I mean, or video games. I think those three things when I was growing up um, were very um, were very important to me in my life. I was really good at multiplayer video games, and I still love watching some of the high level esport. There's something about like competition in some sort of way um, that I think really is not necessary, but it's just something we do as animals or humans. We're competing in some sort of way. Um, and I mean that on a more of a biological way, um, on a sort of animal way. Like you're not in the conscious way, not as a sort of um, mental competition against everything and everyone, which that does exist. Don't get me wrong, but that's not. I think that's a very, very mundane thing to get lost in. What the creative process has looked like for me has been many things. Playing little league sports. Creating something out of a play you're running in, like basketball or football. You know, a play that the coach calls, and then you have the sort of landscape to operate within the play to kind of create something. I think that's why sort of competition is really interesting because um, it creates small worlds that are so fixated on this reality of competition that you kind of lose the aspect of the greater picture, I guess. Um, and then literally the climax of winning to maybe the individual's competition, or depending on the size of recognition of what the competition is, the climax, the ending of winning or losing, or the whatever the idea of winning and losing is, that sort of after effect is really the contemplative moment to look at the greater whole of that world that was just built. I I think that is kind of what the creative process can look like for people. Um, it is it's very different for me at times. I think when I was little and growing up and finding myself, um, I found it hard to do things on my own because it was like I didn't want to compete, but I didn't have necessarily the confidence within myself to do that thing, to do whatever that own thing was, whatever, it, whether or not it was just playing a different video game from other people, or um, really just focusing on what I like to do, um, and just getting really good at it, which I did eventually with video games. And I don't regret my time, how much time I spent playing video games in my teen years, but they they taught me many things, and other people had their experiences, and it taught them many things. And um, I think what my time with video games and my love of the sort of um, the creative process within the competitions, you know, they they allowed me to just show my individual ability, that I was things that I was really good at. And after I sort of came to this realization in my teen years, where it was what like okay, this is over. I was just not having fun anymore. It became something completely different. It wasn't a fun creative process. It was just draining. And I think that's the sort of beginning point I'm talking about, where you are just done competing in this game of creating, whether or not that's an art, or just an animalistic way of looks and sexual drive, or what materials you have that others don't, and you're comparing these things. And so there comes that point, and it's a very, you can come to that point of realization in many ways. I know you can. But that point brings a lot of fear. That fear of stepping over your yourself in a way, or what you've been told is you. There comes a point also where the fear becomes a constant, and you're almost alienated by the fear, isolated. But once you overcome that fear, the fear becomes a sort of solitude. It morphs into a solitude. You've made nice with the fear, if you will. You've come to understand the fear. You've sat with it a while, and then you go to that next point of solitude, of building or creating the world that is not fearful. That is, it's just a light that shines on different aspects of many realities. You're not fixated on a belief. You're creating in whatever way you want to perceive your creations as your own. And that can take a while. I don't think there's, I've just said what I've said in 10 minutes, but that does not sum up the, the, the bandwidth. I don't know, the the fluff and the pillow, it doesn't sum up what goes into that, to those points, to what you want to create. And I think the only thing you can do is go. Just keep going. Just keep creating your bullshit. Well, your worlds, your daydreams, your nightmares, your fears. You're shining a light on everything that you know to be real. Confirmation. More noise. It's a rainy day today. I'm going to chill out, travel the mental mazes. I think the mental mazes are the middle parts of getting to that sort of climactic endpoint of the creative process. And the maze grows and changes while you're in it. There's no real getting out of the maze. You just kind of grow comfort of the maze until someone takes you out of it and puts you in another maze. And then you're on a whole new set of worlds and rules and environments. And then you just keep going. I think a lot of people are going to, have these opinions of like trying is stupid. Like trying not, you're just, I don't know, or not caring about certain things. Like, oh, that's just performative shit. I don't know why that motherfucker's doing it. Well, he cares. He tries. They're trying. She's trying. She cares. They care. And that's the mental maze right there. Because I'm just thinking about other people. I'm not them. Why am I thinking? You know what I mean? There's an example. Okay. Hopefully you see this in time. Carry on.